with you today is a lot of it may be common sense stuff, a lot of it may be stuff you've heard or may have known, but the way he does, the way he puts it together, I think you're going to refer back to it when you're going out doing an open house. You're going to think of Wade, and I'm pretty confident in that. Wade is a spectacular presenter. I mean, the guy is able to really relate with you. So I think you're going to get a lot out of this. If you would, let us know how the class was afterwards, because, of course, that's the goal. We'd like to know if this is something we should repeat or do again in the future, etc. With that being said, I think I'm going to take a little bit of thunder and let you know this is a gentleman here who's done, what is it, over 500 or 600 open houses?
600. Over 600 open houses.
Wade has, I believe you have about, what, 18 people on your team? Or
yes, I do.
He's got 18.
Actually, I have 2 offices. He said 1, but I got 8.
That's right. He's got 2 now. That's right. Wade's a great guy. I can't say enough good things about him. Thank you for all that you do. Thank you for doing this class, of course.
Thank you.
And good luck, everybody.
Well, up there it says I'm Wade Askew, so I must be Wade Askew. So let's get this thing started. This program, I'm going to talk about some things that you've done before, but different. This is a system that's been put together tight to be a system. If you follow the rules of the system, it will change your life. And I'm serious. People go, no. But do. It'll change your income. It'll change the kids, the school your kids go to, because it's going to change everything you do in business. It'll take a real hard business, which real estate is, and another thing it's not, and make it easier. Make all the money that you want to make. You now control your destiny. Let me start a little bit with some history on me, so you have an idea of where I'm coming from and how I got to where we are today. I was raised here in Arizona. My dad was vice president of Silver Project. So I was raised by a strong man that knew what he wanted. At 11 years old, my mother married a real estate executive out of St. Louis. I found real estate. I just loved real estate. I loved the whole concept of helping people in their houses. I just liked it. I went to school, went to a little bit of college, didn't graduate. That wasn't my thing. But I got a little education, went to work for the city. I got married young, and I had to raise a family. So I knew that the city was going to pay me a check every week. They did, and it was so boring. If I got a raise, I got a 4% raise. Nothing I could do could really change my life. They had control of my life. I had to follow their rules, take their classes, take their little tests. They were in charge of my life. Not something I wanted to do. After 4 years of that, I quit the city, took my money, my little retirement money, and bought a striping company. These marks that you see on the street. I started the first real company that ever did that. Before, it was guys running around to pick up trucks with a little Briggs strapping on the back of the truck doing striping. I had employees, and we did really well. Every time I would pull up to a site to do a paving job, a guy in a great big red Cadillac would pull up behind me and tell me how to do it. That was a paving contractor. And I'm going, why is he driving a red Cadillac and I'm not? So after 3 years of doing this, and I got a pretty good business going, I decided, wait a minute, I can drive a Cadillac too, and I want a Cadillac. So I started selling paving. Did real well. Within 6 months, I got every Circle K from here to the ocean. We did all of California, all of Arizona. We were just flush, for the lack of a better word. Did real well. Then I'm thinking, well, wait a minute. I'm not making this guy 90%, and I'm making 10%. Start my own paving company. In 3 years, we've become the largest paving company in Arizona. I've got equipment all over the place. I started out with a little guy. When I decided I wanted to do paving, I had no equipment. And I had a little guy named Me Medina. And every time he answered the phone, he would say, hi, this is Me Medina. I also got to do something, which I always forget to do. They want me to change this thing. And you'll find I'm always behind on these things. I'm here to teach you not to run that thing. Me, Medina, and I went out my hand into paving jobs until I was able to get the money to buy the equipment. Once I bought the equipment, we just grew and grew and grew. Became the #1 paving company in Arizona. I'm working 20 hours a day, literally. I would come home at midnight, get up at 4, go back to work. My wife and I had a problem. So I decided to sell the business to help the marriage. We took a year's vacation, and we found that it wasn't the business that we hated each other. We didn't get along. So came back to Phoenix and kind of retired again. And I wanted to do something that I've always wanted to do, and it was real estate. I got into real estate, and now I'm in the hardest job you'll ever love. And anybody tells you that it's not the hardest job you'll ever have, you're lying. It's rough. You're totally independent. You're trying to make the customer happy. You're trying to get your job done. You're trying to solve the problems of all these problems you have to get your job done. And you're independent. You're financing yourself. You're trying to think you're a lone soldier. It's a very, very difficult business. For the first 8 months, I sold no homes. Here's a guy that has been the top of his game. Everything he touched made millions of dollars, and I couldn't sell a house. I couldn't sell a $60,000 house. I couldn't sell a $50,000 house. I could not sell a house. Didn't know what to do. I'm just going crazy. I had what most of us have, a large learning curve. Once I got out of being afraid of not selling the house and trying to satisfy all these different things I needed to satisfy, things started looking up a little bit. After 8 months of no business, I had a friend of mine who I was in business with. We owned a big coffee company together, owned a bunch of houses. He called me, wanted me to sell a house. Well, now I've got a house. And I know houses because I own 350 of them. I can do this. I can sell houses. I can buy them because I buy them at 100 at a time. What do? I go back to my classes that I learned, and I go back to the people who taught me. And I had a very good teacher, Holly Yessinger. She was a credential at the time. Now that she's also become the president of the Association of Realtors. She's a fine lady. I went through her classes, and her classes, and her classes, and her classes. And what there are is there's basically 6 ways to get business in real estate. Open houses, sphere of influence, friends, farm, flyers, cards. It's not brain science. Do these things and you'll eventually get business if you don't start first. But you're going to get, eventually something's going to happen. So now I got this house. What do I do with this house? I put the sign out there. Squeak, 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 squeak. And it did that. It just squeaked all day long. Nobody showed up. So what we do now is we do an open house. So I take the signs that the company has, and at that particular time I took the Prudential. And it says Prudential with a big arrow, and had a little stand. Nice, neat, very organized. I put it on either corner of the intersection, and this particular home was up in Sunnyslope on the hill. And I run up the hill, and I'm waiting for open house. And I'm waiting. And I'm still waiting. And 3 hours later, I'm still waiting. Nobody comes the first day. I go back to my broker, and I go, what did I do wrong? You didn't use enough signs. You're going to have to get more signs out there. Let them know you're there. So now I got 5 of these yellow swinging signs, blue and yellow signs. One guy shows up. But he really doesn't want the house. But I got one deal. One guy. I'm going crazy now. I can't sell this house. Now I failed. Now in my 9th month. And I'm still not a realtor. because I've not sold a piece of real estate yet. Finally, I put out 6 signs, 4 people come, none of them buy the house, another realtor brings the house by. Good Lord, I'm successful now. I've sold a house. And I've sold 1 house. It took me 9 months to get the damn thing done, but I did it. 1 house. But the ugly part is, now I'm back to not being a realtor again. Because I don't have anything. I don't have a house to sell. I have nothing. I'm a searcher. I'm a pleader. I'm a beggar. But I'm not a realtor. I'm back to school. Back to these classes. I'm hearing the same 5, 6 things to do. I'm sitting in my bed at night, just going crazy. I can't go to sleep. I'm walking the streets, going up and down, pacing. Can't figure out what to do. 3 o'clock in the morning. 3 o'clock in the morning. My wife says, well, what are you awake for? What's going on? I said, well, I'm going to fail. I'm 45 years old. I've sold millions of dollars worth of anything. I've owned 23 businesses. Cleaning businesses, ceramic businesses, roofing business, contraction, construction businesses. You name it, I own 350 of my own homes. I own the whole damn city block. But I can't sell a house. I can't do real estate. It's the hardest job I've ever loved. She said, you have to go back to what they told you to do and do what you always do. Adjust it. There has to be some way in here, in this group of things, that can make this business work. Well, I got flyers all over. I've walked a million at 20 miles at a time to put out to have a farm with all my little cards and all my little stickies on and all that stuff. That wasn't going to work. So I'm asking people, now I'm not just asking people, stop on the street. What do I do? How do I make this work? I had a kid, he was a younger man, who was very educated. He was a loan officer who was in our company, embedded in our store, in our office. And I went to talk to him, and he'd been to Harvard and Yale and all this stuff. And I said, well, what do I do? What would you think I should do? And he said, did you ever hear about ugly yellow signs? And I said, yeah, I did a seminar one time, because I gave seminars too when I was successful before I couldn't sell houses, of the guy who actually wrote the book on ugly yellow signs. The facts are that today, from sunrise to sunset, you're going to see about 130,000 pieces of advertisement. You watch a NASCAR race, every damn car has advertisement on it. Look around you. There's advertisement in here. Go to a Walmart. There's 1,000 rows of signs down advertising. You're bombarded with advertising. The one thing all these advertising have in common is they're nice and neat and organized. And your little line wraps around them. That's where the ugly yellow signs come in. I take my first baby steps. I go get a 18 by 24 blank sign. What am I going to do with this damn thing? I put open house on it. Now I have a sign. I go back to this kid that told me how to do it. He told me about the yellow signs. And he said, well, if you'll let me sit your open houses with you, I'll buy your signs for you. I'm expecting 10, 15, 20 signs. The next day, to my house comes 100 signs. A stack of signs. Well, now what I'm going to do? I can't sell real estate. I don't know what the hell to do with these signs. Now I'm really got a lot of trouble. So I took a magic marker, one of these, and I simply wrote, open house. And then in the next part, the last part of the meeting, I'll show you some of my signs. But they say open house. Now what do? I get a guy to let me sit at one of his houses. I went to the street, and I put two signs up. I put an ugly yellow sign here, and an ugly yellow sign here. Because that's what you do. You put your signs up at the street.
Where was the open house at?
What's that?
Where was the house located?
We'll get to that. The house, this particular house, was over here, about 4 to 5 turns away, up on the corner, because I wasn't real smart then. We took the baby steps. We got the signs. Now we got ugly yellow signs. This open house did 3 people. Not a buyer, but 3 times what I did in the other one. First time I had it. Come back the next time, and I'm thinking, you know, that ugly yellow sign worked pretty good. So now I go over here. Same house. We do more ugly yellow signs. I still got 100 of those things. What do I do now? I still can't get enough people to come in to give me enough business to get this thing done. I decide that it's time to bring the circus down. Remember, I've got 100 signs. Oh, I'm not even starting here.
Might as well use them all, huh?
I use over 30 signs. On this, just the street. Just the street. My point here is this. And we do it down here too. We do it all the way down. From intersection to intersection to intersection to intersection. I don't want you to not be able to see the sign. I want you to see the sign only. When you pull into this, when you come off this main street, when you pull down West Davis and Union Hills, I want you to look out and go, holy crap, what's going on? Why do all I see yellow signs? Then you take me, you got me down here. That will get you 35 to 40 people every time. And I guarantee it, it happens. I've done this 600 times. It works. Now, I'm going to show you eventually the perfect house. And the perfect house will get you 145 people a day for 2 days, and you'll write 6 contracts, because I did. I did it. It works. This will work for you every single time. If you do it right, it just will. Let me get this thing out. Now, location. Location, location, location. The perfect location for a house is right here. The street's going to come like this. You're going to have a house here, and this is the house you want. For many, many reasons. It takes 2 turns. It turns here, and needs each. This has a fence behind it. All the houses go back to a street has a fence behind it. So you can hang a sign over the fence. So now you go, these signs plus the hang sign. Location is everything. If you have a house that's more than 4 turns, don't do it. Don't do it. How do you find the perfect house? If you work for West USA, if you're smart enough to be working for West USA, they have sales meetings in all the sales offices, even my little offices. I have 20 people every week come through my facility. At the Arrowhead Ranch, they have 45-50 every Thursday. Go there and simply tell them that you're going to do an open house and that you're going to get 35 or 40 people. And they're going to go, yeah, sure. Until you do. Until you call them and say, hey, I need help. Until you call your broker and say, hey, there's two of us here and we can't handle it. Go give me some more printing. And then they'll start listening to you. And then they'll come asking you every week, hey, I got a house. You want to sit it? Because you're going to sell their houses. You're going to, number one, make them look like a hero because you've done what you said you're going to do. You're bringing in tons of people. They are because you're an extension to them. You have a real good chance of selling the house because the more people see the house. And the beautiful thing is you're building an email backlog. Today, at 4 o'clock in the morning, I sent off 350 emails to people to show them the houses that came on the market today. The market, MLS starts at midnight, comes on at midnight. At 4 o'clock, my system sent today 350 people. I got those 350 people right here. That's where they come from. And they will be hit every day until they tell me to stop. I don't say anything much better than that. Now I can't figure out how better I'm going to sell a house than if I got 350 people who've actually seen me, who sees my face and sees my product every day. Now, to get back to our location. Two terms. Just say no. If they want a house that takes 5 turns. What I will do is this. I'll make a slight exception. If I have a house, there's another street here, comes up here, another street here. This street is straight. I then put my signs with arrows on them. Straight arrows leading here. I'm going to turn them, but I'll take my half a mile straight and then get them over here. But I'm not going to do this. There's no way. I tell stories. So that's a true story. If I had my son here, he'd admit it. I have a 35-year-old son who's an executive shift, single. We're driving along, and there's a sign that says, yard sale, bikini yard sale. Bikini yard sale. Look, bikini yard sale. Let's go see. We went to 7 different signs that said that, and he gave up. He gave up. He's chasing bikinis, and he can't get to the 8th sign. They're not going to come and look to your house. They're not. They're going to lose. They're going to lose. They're just going to lose themselves. They're not going to be able to do it. You've got to keep them so that they see your sign and you don't have them turn. And that's one of the biggest things I get. People come and go, "Should I actually found you?" Yeah, because you follow the sign at no time. As I'm setting up my signs, and we'll talk about this when we start to set up, I actually look. I look behind me in my mirror and make sure I can see the last sign I can do. If I can't, put another sign in. Don't let them lose. You've got 100. And do you know what this system costs you? Tomorrow, you want to do this system. You want to have 100 signs on the street Saturday. You know what you'll spend? 0. You'll spend 0. It will cost you absolutely nothing to do this system. Because you tell your loan officer that if he buys the signs for you, which is going to cost him $100, that he can sit. You tell the title company that you're going to hand out all kinds of their stuff with their name on it. And They'll do your printing for you. You have no investment. You're controlling your life. You're now running your business. You now have a business because you can control your customer base. And it didn't cost you a dime. You guys ought to carry me out on your shoulders. I mean, and it works. It absolutely works. There's no getting around it. Now, we got two terms. Now, we got to tell everybody the circus is in town. And when we do that, I'm going to use the happens off here. I don't know how we're doing for time. I just automatically go around and stuff. All right. This is the street that your house is on. This is your house. This is the sidewalk to the house. Up here, everybody coming to the street. They've got a sign here. They've got a sign here. When they come in, I want 12. Write this down. 12 signs in the front yard. If it has a sidewalk, put 6 signs up the sidewalk that just say open house. They don't have to have an arrow on it. So that actually, my whole purpose is if it wasn't hot, I'd wear a red nose. You gotta look at the circus. You gotta go, what in the world did this maniac do? And I gotta see somebody to do this. Because this guy's out of his mind. Signs are up along the sidewalk, and then all in here, put another 12 signs. All over. Open house. You can put 4% money. You can put VA, FHA. I don't care what you write down. All kinds of informational signs. All over the circus. Now, we've got them here. Now we've even got them stopped. I have had, when I was working for Holly does high-end homes, I did $1 million condo on the corner of 7th and Missouri for her. We had, at one point in time, 70 people in the house. I called the agent to come and help me, because that's usually the plan I do. If I need help, I tell them, yeah, I may call you. The agent couldn't find a parking spot. She had to park 3 blocks away to get to it. Now, it was the perfect house. It was a gated community. We were able to get it open, and we had signs all over the joint. And 2 buddies of mine, this is another thing to do. 2 buddies of mine had houses open, had houses for sale in that project. And they were with me. So they stopped. When they stopped, they went and saw 3 houses. They went from my house to this house to that house. Like I said, they were parking off property and walking in to see the house I had for sale. It be sold that day. It be sold that day for $1 million. The other house, the perfect house that I'm showing you a little bit, that was an Askew house too. It was a big house. Let me tell you a secret that I learned. It came to me, and I'm controlling my own destiny. If you're sitting at the walk-ins, yes, people will come in. They come in every day. But I don't know what they want to buy. There are $30,000 customers. There's $80,000 customers. I know what I'm selling here. I pick what I sell. Do you want to sell $180,000 houses? Sell them. You want to sell $30,000 houses? Sell them. You're controlling your destiny. You're controlling your paycheck. If you need some quick cash, sell a $30,000 house. But if you want to start making some money, go up to those 150s, those 200. I don't do anything under $250,000 myself. I'm in a position, I just don't do it. They're easier to set. They're cleaner. They're just what I want people to think me as a week. So I don't do anything under $250,000. But I have that choice. I know when I'm waking up in the morning that I'm going to represent a $250,000 house. That is priceless, guys. Priceless. Because when the phone rings, that phone rings, you don't know what the guy wants to buy. When the guy walks up from the walk to the Walmart, you don't know what he wants to buy. You are controlling your buyer from the street. Because and they'll stop drive-bys. They'll stop, oh, I'm not interested. They took 20 signs to get here. They took 20 to 30 signs to get here. They had to find a parking spot, probably not by the house, because in most cases, the house is kind of lined up around the house. They want to see the house. You got a customer that wants to see the house. And I've got some ways that we're going to talk about in a few minutes of how to hook that customer. Let's take a quick little 5-minute break, get a drink of water, go to potty, whatever, and we'll get back and we'll start up, we'll set up and go through the last half of this. And I love questions, so think about questions. I love answering questions.